Welcome back to J&J Dynasty. I'm going to be talking about a couple things here today. Actually, not really. We're just going to be going through what we learned from this week's games, week one in NFL year 2020. So a lot of things to go through. So let's get right into this. Oh, by the way, if you like some of the content, hit below. If you comment, subscribe. Oh, I'm going to drop a link in here. Wisecracking with Mike. I made some predictions on his podcast, um, kind of off the cuff. So very little planned. I mean, I know I don't plan a lot with these videos, but yeah, very little planned with that. So it's kind of a more off the cuff, funny type situation. So me and two other guys are having fun, ripping on each other, kind of. So it's something to check out. Wisecracking with Mike. I'll put a link below so you can check that podcast out. All right, let's get into the video here, right? All right, so first off, let's go. We'll hit the slideshow. Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen with the Chargers is not going to play for Thursday night's game. So quick heads up to maybe pick up Josh Palmer or make sure you put him into your lineups. He's got the hamstring injury, so he is not going to be in your lineup. So we want to avoid Keenan Allen or fade him for at least this week, maybe the next several weeks. Josh Palmer has been popping up quite often. Whenever he gets a chance. Last week he didn't do really well, but that's what we're going to be looking at. So there you go. There you go. One down, one bit of fabulous information right away here on Monday or Tuesday, actually. So you get 2-day notice. I'm also going to be making a video here and popping it out here on Wednesday for waiver wire pickups. So be looking for that one. So we'll have that information for you coming up also. All right, let's get into the Dak program, right? So Dak broke his hand, and I think by now everybody knows that he has had surgery on his hand, but he's not going on waivers. So what you need to know is Jerry Jones is an idiot. This is exactly what happened last year, with the broken hand. Same thing with Wilson, right? He came back too quick. He didn't look good. I mean, Jones, your season's over. You're an overrated squad. You should have never got rid of Amari Rodgers. You should have never put that much trust in Ezekiel Elliott being 90 years old and slow. It was there that he's been tailing off, and it looks like Elliott has hit the cliff. I mean, if you want a solid backup running back, Elliott looks like your guy, short yardage guy, between the tackles guy, 3 yards in a cloud of dust guy. Elliott's great for that, but if you want him to be a feature back and crank off 20-yard runs or be a threat to take one to the house, he's not that guy anymore. So that's what we have with those guys. I mean, the whole thing with Dak is just crazy. I mean, he's out 6 to 8 weeks, and now you don't want to put him on IR because you want to maybe get one start out of him when he probably won't even be able to grip the football. I mean, what's up with that? What's your thinking? Jerry, I know you don't have many more trips around the sun left, but use your noggin, right? Don't put Dak's future at risk. Dak is a good, not great quarterback the way it is. So why are you going to be doing stuff like this? I know your team needs him, but dude, not like that. All right, let's get into this one. Elijah Mitchell. Once again, he's hurt. Hurt. He's out. Jeff Wilson is the man now. I mean, Elijah here. Kind of feel bad for the dude. Fantastic talent, was doing awesome. Had 41 yards on very few carries, and he was looking good, right? And wow, to hurt your MCL and you're out 6 to 8, probably 2 months is what they're saying. The guys who had Jeff Wilson. And I was pissed off that I had to cut 2 more shares of him for roster spots. But that's the way it goes. That's dynasty football. But Elijah Mitchell is a great talent, perfect offense for him, but it's not working out with injuries, and he's had an injury history going all the way back to his high school days So it's something to look for going forward. If you have him in your dynasty, even now it might be good just to cut bait with him and move on. All right. So that's the news on him. TJ Watt, torn pectoral muscle. Originally thought that he was going to be out for the year. Just was reading that he might be back in 6 to 8 weeks. They're going to let it heal naturally. They're not going to do surgery. So they think that he can be back in 6 to 8 weeks. So if you're high on defenses, if you're high on Pittsburgh's defense after the week 1 showing, don't be for at least a bunch of weeks here until, obviously it gets settled out. I mean, they're not going to get 5 interceptions every week. Joe Burrow was just flat out terrible week 1. Now you lose TJ Watt, one of the better defensive ends in the league. So, I mean, that's not going to be a good situation going forward. Let's stick with the Steelers, right? So we have Naji Harris. Again, the foot injury. He had a Liz Frank sprain in preseason, and that they didn't disclose until right before the season. And now he had very limited touches, more inefficient than he was last year. I'm just going to tell you, fade him. If you have him on your roster, fade him. If you can get a big return for him, get rid of him now. He's already an older running back for being in his second year. With this injury, which is probably going to linger all year, I mean, I have in one of my leagues, I have Jeff Wilson and Najee. I'm going to be starting Jeff Wilson over Najee. Just telling you that. It's the way it's going to be. I'm not going to put up with that kind of limited production in and out of the lineup stuff. So it's a good guy to get, or get rid of if you can. You probably can't. I mean, people are still gonna give you a boatload. He's already 24. He's got 2 years left before he's gonna start sliding down. So if you can trade him for somebody younger, Brees Hall or something like that, especially if you're not the best team right now, I mean, I would do it. All right, let's go to the last. Oh, forgot about Gavin. Gavin blew out his hamstring again. Who would have figured? After ACL surgery, a lot of guys have lower back, hamstring, leg issues, and they rushed him back. He barely practiced, and oh no, he blows out his hamstring. Who would have thought? So now he's out for an extended period. Look to pick up Russell Gage, even though he didn't have a lot of play this week. Look to pick up Russell Gage. So that's my 2 cents for that. I mean, everybody knows that. Julio Jones didn't really show up big time. He had a nice grab, but look for Gage. Oh, and FYI, if you're a Fournette owner, his last play, I believe it was, he looked like he pulled up a little bit. They don't have him on any injury list or anything yet, but watch out. Fournette has a big injury history, so watch out if you're starting him for a possible injury coming up. All right, what? All right. Well, I was going to get into the Mac Jones. I thought I had a picture for Mac Jones too, but I don't. So we're just going to finish this video up real quickly. Mac Jones had an x-ray on his back. So I would be very concerned to have him as a deep stash, as a third wide receiver quarterback. They drafted him last year in the 4th round on a couple leagues. So I was watching that situation pretty carefully, being that I thought that, I was going to hopefully trade him. Obviously, quarterbacks go down. Usually about 20% of quarterbacks go down in a league, the starting quarterbacks from week 1, or they make switches. So having a third quarterback is nice, or being able to trade somebody who is worthwhile. So watching the Mac Jones situation, he had x-rays on his back, so they thought that maybe something was broken, but now they're under the impression that it was just more like back spasms than it was actually a back injury. So he's day-to-day in practice. Look for him to probably start this weekend. I would put him in my lineup, obviously. If you have other options, do that. Let's get back to some other things. Kadarius Toney. All the love all year about how great he is off of 2 games, game and a half. Let's do that. Gonna do that. Cut one finger off. A game and a half, right? 7 snaps game 1, and their offense looked pretty good. We all knew that or most of us did, that Saquon was going to get all the love in that offense. But there you go. It's Kadarius Toney, very limited snaps, uber potential, but it's the Sterling Shepard show still. Daniel Jones loves Sterling Shepard. If he's out there in your waiver wire, go get some Sterling Shepard. So that's with that. I guess finally, the final thing that I want to talk about today, which is crazy. We're going to go all the way back to Thursday night when Cam Akers didn't play. 12 snaps, I believe it was, 3 touches. One of them was supposed to be a reception, but it went backwards. Oh, by the way, NFL, this whole his arm went forward thing is bullshit. It's not if your arm goes forward, it's if the ball goes backwards. It's even if your arm goes forward, i.e. the case of that running play, which was actually a pass. He threw the ball to Cam Akers. It was a lateral, so therefore it was a running play. So be consistent, change your rules, because if that's a running play, even though he threw the ball forward, right? Then you can't say that if the arm is going forward, it's not a fumble. Because if it goes backwards, it doesn't matter if your arm is going forward, it's still a lateral. That's how you rule it. Make that call every time. So let's get into that. That's my little 2 cents for the NFL. One of my many rule issues, I guess. So the whole Cam Akers deal, I think that was a sitting on the bench, and uh, McVay basically said it was a wake-up call to him. But I'm sitting here scratching my head. I mean, you got a guy who just had Achilles surgery, and you told him, you anointed him the starter this summer. All training camp he's had a hamstring or a leg issue again, because that's what these guys do when they have come back really early from these injuries, the knee, the Achilles. Oh, by the way, my 2 cents worth, I think it's the field turf that's causing all these Achilles injuries. I've never seen so many Achilles injuries. You used to have maybe 2 Achilles injuries every 10 years. Now it seems like you have 2 Achilles injuries every week. So it's going to be, they're going to figure out eventually that it's the turf that's causing this. So let's get back to natural grass. All right, Cam Akers. I mean, I'm of the opinion that, and I've got too many shares of Cam Akers. He cost me a couple wins this week, and Allen Robinson. Yay. I started both of them. Oh, and Darnell Mooney on one team. Wonder why I lost. Oh, and Thielen. So, yeah. Um, that was not a good game. But I did wind up winning a game with Cam Akers and T. Higgins, and I still won. That's probably my best team. So I had started those 2 guys, and I still had 120 points on my bench on that team. So I like that one. But I'm still gonna, in most of my leagues, if I don't have a better option, I'm gonna still stick with Cam Akers and start him, just because I do think that this was a learning lesson for Cam. He wanted to shock Cam, and I don't know why. Like I was saying, he had the injury. He anointed him the starter. He had nagging injuries, so of course I don't think that you're going to go full out in practice if you have a nagging injury and you're trying to nurse that. So it really doesn't make sense that McVay is getting on him for that. So we'll see what happens, obviously, but I think he's a pretty safe go in week 2 and week 3. By week 3 for sure, I think that he's going to be, the lion's share, if not by week 4, because Darrell Henderson has about a 3-week shelf life where he can go about 3 weeks before he gets injured, and he's got to take a week or 2 off. So if you have Cam Akers, hold your Cam Akers and roll from there. So I think I've got everybody covered here: Tony, Akers, Mac Jones, Keenan Allen, Naji, Watts, Mitchell, and Dak. So that's kind of your synopsis of that. Remember, check the link below for Wisecracking with Mike. I'll hopefully be adding that soon. Got to get that information. So you can check that out, check Mike out, and go from there. Hopefully this will help a little bit for some, what we learned on some games. I didn't go over every game. I kind of went over some of the big injuries that you want to be aware of and make plans for. So with that being said, I think that's enough. Until next time, from J&J Dynasty, take care. the heck? Oh, I gotta click on the thing, right? Bye.